Hello, my name is Evelyn Rosenberg, and I was born in Washington, D.C., where my parents, Milton and Katie Edelson, lived and were both lawyers for the government. Well, originally I came to Albuquerque just by luck because my husband was drafted during the Vietnam War and was sent to Albuquerque. And we came here, and actually it was just when I was about to go to graduate school, and so I went to graduate school at UNM to get a master's in lithography. And then we left for 5 years after the Army, lived in Israel and New York. And then when we had a chance, we came back to Albuquerque because we had always loved it. Well, I was always, as a kid, the best drawer in school. But when I was in high school, I took a course in philosophy, which was unusual in high school. And I thought, if I could just think like a philosopher, that would be marvelous. So I decided to study philosophy in college. And then when I went back to Israel after I graduated from college, I decided to study comparative religion and Jewish mysticism. But I had a friend that taught at the art school in Jerusalem, and so I told him, I used to like to draw. So he said, why don't you come to my class and see if you still like to draw? So I did. And it was so much better than going to the library that I changed my direction. But really what changed my direction, and so I could put the two things together, I took a trip to the Far East and to India to look at other mystical traditions. And I saw the art, particularly in India, and I felt that somehow it was able to say much more, at least to me, than I could find in books about the very subjects I was interested in. And so I decided to go back to the States and study art. And at that point, this person came along, and then I like to say one dark and rainy night, a Israeli who was an explosive expert from Haifa came on a sabbatical to New Mexico Institute of Mines, or New Mexico Tech in Socorro, New Mexico. And he wanted to do something fun, and it was his idea, based on some observations he'd made, that it was a possibility to make art using explosives. But he wasn't an artist, so he wanted someone to work with him. And through, the aunt of an uncle of a cousin he came to me and asked me if I wanted to go blow something up. So of course, how could you resist a thing like that? So I went with him down there and we blew something up. And it was really interesting and fun. And I also, at the beginning, I thought maybe this was a way to make very large etching plates, because there was a real resemblance between my etching plates and the results you got in the blast. But after doing it for a while, I realized that the final product right out of the blast was much more interesting. And then I worked on that and developed this technique. The first piece that I have in this show is one of these prints made on handmade paper, which have added ingredients like there's real wool and different things I use to color the paper in the print itself. And it is a part of a suite of 18 prints called Joseph and His Brothers. And this is Joseph and His Coat of Many Colors, the first print in that series. The second object, which I have in the show, is a detnograph. And it is I call it Metamorphosis, but it's actually based on two dreams that are very similar, which is quite interesting, that two people in the Bible had. One was Daniel and one was Ezekiel. And they both dreamed about animals that had human heads, wings, lions' bodies or heads, and feet of oxen. So I made my own dream interpretation of this image, and so it is, but I added a few elements. I added the fact that this creature has a female body and a male lion head to add the element of male and female, and also that her fingers grow into roots in the ground to add the element of nature. So this animal of mine partakes of all of the various natures of the universe. I think that this metamorphosis piece represents themes that I'm really interested. This nature, this connection between nature and human beings and animals, and how we're all interconnected. I think this comes from not only my love of animals and nature, but from my study of mysticism, where everything is interconnected.